Okay, I do want to get to something a little more substantive. We continue to see this debate over statues and monuments, and statues are getting pulled down when they are sometimes Confederate statues or whatever the case may be. And we have another example of that in Virginia, in Richmond, Virginia. A Robert E. Lee statue has been removed. Robert E. Lee, a big Confederate general, essentially a traitor. It was Robert E. Lee was a guy fighting against the Union, aka the United States at the time, for the right to continue owning slaves. He was a pro-slavery traitor to the United States, is the way that I would put it. Robert E. Lee's statue was taken down in Richmond, Virginia, and Donald Trump put out a statement saying that the statue was magnificent and Robert E. Lee was a genius. What? I mean, it's beyond words. It's beyond words. Let's take a look at the statement this put out through the Save America PAC of President Donald J. Trump. Trump says, just watched as a massive crane took down the magnificent and very famous statue of Robert E. Lee on his horse in Richmond, Virginia. It has long been recognized. It's waxing poetic about a Confederate statue. It has long been recognized as a beautiful piece of bronze sculpture. To add insult to injury, those who support this taking now plan to cut it into 3 pieces and throw this work of art into storage prior to its complete desecration. Robert E. Lee is considered by many generals to be the greatest strategist of them all. Now, greatest strategist, this is like saying the German army's Nazi strategist Hermann Göring was really a good strategist. That doesn't mean we have a statue for the guy, okay? Robert E. Lee is considered by many generals to be the greatest strategist of them all. President Lincoln wanted him to command the North, in which case the war would have been over in one day. Robert E. Lee instead chose the other side because of his great love of Virginia, and except for Gettysburg, would have won the war. He should be remembered as perhaps the greatest unifying force after the war was over, ardent in his resolve to bring the North and South together through many means of reconciliation, and imploring his soldiers to do their duty in becoming good citizens of this country. Our culture is being destroyed, and our history and heritage, both good and bad, are being extinguished by the radical left, and we can't let that happen. If only we had Robert E. Lee to command our troops in Afghanistan. That disaster would have ended in a complete and total victory many years ago. What an embarrassment we are suffering because we don't have the genius of a Robert E. Lee. This is what the former president of the United States has been relegated to, praising pro-slavery Confederate generals as geniuses and bemoaning the removal of a statue. Now, I've said before, I actually don't pay too much attention to this statue stuff in that I don't find it particularly substantive. Now, if you come to me and you say, David, sir, would you remove the statue? Yeah, of course, I would remove it. Or would you rename the middle school away from being named after a Confederate general? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But for me, it's not a big substantive focus is the point that I'm trying to make. But the bemoaning it as the greatest loss also strikes me as completely unhinged, deranged, and wacky. So there is Trump saying this man was a genius, this pro-slavery general who fought for the Confederacy is a genius, and the statue is magnificent and it should remain. That's just horrifying stuff. One of our sponsors is Magic Spoon breakfast cereal, sweet and tasty like the cereals I loved as a kid, but without the sugar or the carbs. Every serving of Magic Spoon has 0 grams of sugar, only 4 net carbs, 140 calories, and packed with 13 grams of protein. Perfect if you're doing keto, perfect if you're doing low carb, great if you're just trying to reduce your excess sugar intake, and because it's packed with protein, it's great before or after a workout. Magic Spoon flavors include cocoa, fruity, frosted, peanut butter, blueberry, and cinnamon. They're bringing back cookies and cream. They're bringing back maple waffle. You can build your own variety box and try them all. Magic Spoon is so confident in the product, if you don't love it as much as I do, they will refund your money, no questions asked. Go to magicspoon.com/Pacman. The link is underneath this video, and you'll get $5 off when you use the promo code Pacman at checkout.